Ladies and gentlemen, Sunny Hostin completely melts down after some of her own co-hosts admit that DEI is failing and doesn't work. She gets so triggered, so defensive, that she actually starts justifying blatantly discriminatory hiring practices. As always, don't forget to like the video and subscribe. It really helps the channel grow, ensures my content reaches all my subscribers, and introduces it to new audiences. But let's get right into Sunny Hostin's fiery reaction to Pete Buttigieg admitting that DEI isn't working and is actually driving more voters toward Trump. Watch this.
What do we mean when we talk about diversity? Is it caring for people's different experiences and making sure no one's mistreated because of them, which I will always fight for? Or is it making people sit through a training that looks like something out of Portlandia, which I have also experienced, and it is how Trump Republicans are made, if that comes to your workplace with the best of intentions, but doesn't actually get at what actually matters here, what's actually at stake.
So do you agree with him that DEI initiatives drove voters to Trump? And what else can be done to make sure everyone is represented on an even playing field?
You know what I think?
What do you think, Sunny?
I like Pete, of course, but I think he got that so wrong, and I think it was so tone deaf, considering what's going on. All of it. I thought all of it was tone deaf.
This is classic Sunny Hostin. Anytime someone from her own party even slightly deviates from the approved narrative, she loses it. We've seen it before with John Fetterman, Stephen A. Smith, Ruben Gallego, Eric Adams. The moment someone she assumes will blindly parrot her talking points doesn't, she takes it personally. And the best part? When she goes, "You want to know what I think?" And Joy chimes in with, "What do you think, Sunny?" That's one of those moments where people say, let 'em cook, because something profound is coming. But in Sunny's case, let her cook, because she's about to serve up the most ridiculous take you've ever heard. Let's hear it.
So in my view, when you look at the stats, it is really clear from McKinsey, actually, a consulting firm that Pete used to work for, that firm found that companies with more diversity financially and socially outperform those that are less diverse. So the business case for diversity, equity, and inclusion, it makes sense. And I think we can all agree that we want our workforce to reflect what our world looks like.
I think he does too, though, don't you?
No, I think he does. But my question, really, I think we need to reframe the discussion. If the problem is these programs, what is the solution? Should we just then depend on the benevolence of Elon Musk and white billionaires to hire women and people of color?
No.
Should we just depend on corporations to, on their own, make the workforce more diverse?
You know who you depend on? Yourself. You depend on becoming so valuable, so undeniably skilled, that any company would be lucky to have you. That's meritocracy. And then she says, I think we can all agree that we want a workforce that represents the world. Number, we don't all agree on that. That's what the radical liberals keep pushing. But on our side, we believe the workforce should be filled with the most competent, most skilled people, the ones who actually earn their spot. And just like that, she falls back on the same tired Democrat talking points that cost them the election in the first place. Oh, so now we're supposed to trust the stats. You mean the ones funded by Democrat-backed NGOs? The ones designed to prop up their latest ideological nonsense? These are the same experts who told us the economy is great while inflation soars. Men can become women, because science, apparently. The COVID vaccine stops transmission until it didn't. And now, DEI makes businesses better. It's laughable, it's insulting, and it goes against basic third-grade common sense. The only thing that makes businesses better? Hiring the best people, period. Not race, not gender, just competence. And this is where Sarah jumps in and completely shuts Sunny down. She basically says, nah, this DEI stuff is a clown show.
The David Axelrod conversation you're talking about was in reference to the DNC winter meeting that happened over a few days, and I just want to show a quick clip of what went down.
You may vote for 2 males, 2 females, 2 of any gender, okay? No, you can't do that because we've got to balance. You could vote for 1 of any gender, okay? Or no, non-binary gender, excuse me.
So many people are so frustrated that people are pushing back on DEI that they're not taking a minute to pause that maybe DEI itself needed improvements in its actual application. We're seeing a lot of things. One was New York Times staged fake interviews with diverse candidates. Wells Fargo, the New York Times reported it. Yeah. Sorry, just to be clear. A woman or a person of color, after the position had been filled, to check off their boxes of minority inclusion. That's not helping anyone. So a lot of the problem is that...
But that implies that the woman wasn't qualified for the job.
There was no job.
When the absolute train wreck at the DNC is so bad that even the ladies of The View are starting to question DEI, you know it's a disaster. At this point, the Democrats might be too far gone to ever return to sanity. And as for Sunny, well, she's too busy doubling down to realize that these gender-balanced voting rules at the DNC, meant to be inclusive, are actually blatantly discriminatory. Think about it. You must vote for 2 men. You must vote for 2 women. You must vote for 1 non-binary person. But what if the best candidates are all women, or all men, or all non-binary? This isn't about fairness or merit. It's about rigid quotas that exclude the most qualified people just to meet some arbitrary checklist of equality. It's nonsense, and even The View is struggling to defend it. I almost fell out of my chair laughing when Sarah had to spell it out for Sunny. These weren't even real jobs. Like, did you not hear what was said at the beginning? These were fake interviews, nothing more than a DEI charade to check a box. But Sunny, oh, she's too busy floating in her fantasy land, where fairy dust is falling and music is playing in her ears. And every time she opens her mouth, it becomes painfully obvious. And then, oh man, this is where Sunny's nonsense reaches an all-time high. Even Alyssa and Sarah are left completely speechless. You can actually see it on their faces, like, is she really saying this right now?
Sunny, you've been asking all day, what are the things?
What's the solution?
So she has solutions. She's saying focus on measurable results like pay equity, physical and psychological safety, holding network events, blind hiring. There are a lot of things that you can couch
Blind hiring, that makes sense.
Right.
But isn't the point is kind of merit-based? Isn't that the whole argument that DEI is against?
Well, she dug in because she studied. She's a consultant on DEI for companies for 10 plus years. And what she's saying is, regardless of
blind hiring is the opposite of DEI.
No, that's not true. DEI programs make sure that the most qualified candidates, traditionally excluded from opportunity, are given the chance to compete. So this notion somehow that blind hiring could work, I think that's
wouldn't
something.
It take the
it's not
race
about
or identity out of it, and it would be purely based on what you put forward?
But it's not about merit, because the people that are in these DEI programs are already the best of the best.
But she's saying the companies end up doing tokenism rather than helping.
I love that look on Sunny's face at the end. The moment she realizes that everyone on the panel thinks she's a complete moron. And when Alyssa said, blind hiring is the opposite of AI, and Sunny shot back with, no, that's not true. I had to stop and ask myself, how does this woman even function? Like, how does she put her pants on in the morning? How does she find her way to the View set? She has to be the most unqualified hire in any position that's ever existed in America. If someone this clueless is getting a national platform to talk about politics, then let's be real. They passed her over 100 million better candidates to give her this spot. But actually, if the only real qualification for being on The View is being completely void of intelligence, then Sunny Hostin might just be the most qualified person on planet Earth. And even when she tried to explain her position, all she did was just reword discrimination in a different way. Oh, DEI just gives certain people a chance to compete. Well, if it only gives certain people a chance while excluding others, then guess what? That's discrimination. Sunny is so empty-headed that the few brain cells she does have are probably wondering if they're alone in there. I honestly don't know what's more shocking, that The View actually admitted DEI is bad, or that Sunny Hostin is even dumber than I thought she was. Now, speaking of unbelievably stupid hires on television, here's mega race baiter Jamili Hill on CNN, claiming that Donald Trump hosting a Black History Month celebration at the White House was, wait for it, a slap in the face to black people.
He also mentioned at the same time that there were going to be statues of Kobe Bryant and Muhammad Ali. So it just seems a little hypocritical that you would be doing everything in your power to sort of outlaw the teachings of what, say, a Muhammad Ali stood for. Like, are you going to tell people that he stood against war, that he stood against these very progressive civil rights issues? That doesn't seem to be the part of it. And what I noticed there from that clip is that he had to read letter by letter about what these people, what these great Americans have done in terms of progress for our country, because it's not something he's familiar with and not something that is natural for him. So I consider this to be an insult, a slap in the face. And frankly, all the people that attended this, look, I guess God bless you if you've never been to the White House and maybe you looked at it as some kind of great experience. But everything this president has stood for and done in the last decade or so has been a complete rejection of what Black history is.
There it is. The extremely pretentious Democrat condescension in full display. I mean, if you think going to the White House is a big deal, then I guess whatever to you. Seriously? Every single American citizen should be honored to visit the White House. But no, for the perpetual victims in the race-hustling left, nothing is ever good enough. Trump hosted an event, invited 300 influential black leaders, celebrated black history, and even announced plans for 12 statues of iconic black figures in a new White House garden. And somehow, that's insulting. And now, apparently, Trump reading the biographies of these historical black figures is racist too? I mean, give me a break. We all know who Rosa Parks and Frederick Douglass are, but let's be real. None of us can recite their full biographies from memory. So instead of just saying, Rosa Parks, the lady on the bus, Trump wanted to deliver a proper tribute. And for that, he had a note card with details about her legacy. And somehow that makes him a bad guy? This is the exact kind of mentality that's embarrassing. These folks love to talk about oppression and claim that the white man doesn't care about them, but as soon as they get any recognition, they reject it because they've convinced themselves it's not genuine. What do they even want? They seem miserable and insufferable, and let's be honest, who wants to be part of a movement that thrives on misery and pessimism? The race-hustling identity politics game is over. But hey, let's listen to the other black panelists explain why what Trump did was somehow horrific. Because, of course, America is just so racist toward black people.
What happened today was a beautiful thing.
So I don't. I think he's trying to gaslight us.
In
I mean, come on,
Solomon?
man. You have got to be kidding.
So if he didn't have it today, you would be back.
He's trying to gaslight us. First, he said he doesn't want anybody in government to celebrate Black History Month, and then he says, "Okay, I'm going to put on an event about Black History Month, and I'm going to be the speaker." There aren't any black people, really saying anything about what's happening with him. He tried to use DEI as literally a racial slur against us, as if black people are benefiting from anything in this country and getting anything we're not qualified for and don't have to work twice as hard for. Black people have to live in the real world. When the cops come, we're scared because we might not come out of it alive. We walk into a store, if they let us in, we're followed around. We don't get loans when we have the same credit score as everybody else because we're black. We have to live in the real world. You can't gaslight us. We know reality when we see it. This is not real. This is a joke. That's what that is.
So, let's take a second and debunk everything that guy just said. The most common trope from the DEI left is that black people have to work 5 times harder than everyone else just to achieve what a white person can. But as we all know, Harvard was sued last year for its DEI-based admissions policies, and the Supreme Court ruled them illegal. So, let's do a quick refresher and take a look at this chart to see how reality completely contradicts that claim. For example, if you're in the top 10% of applicants and you're white, you only have a 15.3% chance of being accepted. If you're Asian, your chances drop even lower, just 12.7%. But if you're black, a massive 56% chance of being accepted. For Hispanics, it's 31.3%. Now, let's look at middle of the pack applicants, the 50th percentile. White applicants, 2.6% chance. Asian applicants, 1.9% chance. Black applicants, 22.4% chance. Hispanic applicants, 9.1% chance. And here's where it really gets crazy. A black student in the 40th percentile, below average, has a 12.8% chance of getting into Harvard. Meanwhile, an Asian student in the top 10% has a lower chance of being admitted than that below average black student. That literally exposes why the Supreme Court ruled it illegal, because whites and Asians actually have to work 3 times as hard as a black applicant just to get the same outcome. Now, let's look at medical school acceptance rates, and guess what? It tells the exact same story. If you have an MCAT score between 24 and 26, black applicants, 56% acceptance rate. White applicants, 8% acceptance rate. Asian applicants, 6% acceptance rate. Now, if you score 30 to 32 on the MCAT, black applicants, 94% acceptance rate. Hispanic applicants, 83% acceptance rate. White applicants, 63% acceptance rate. Asian applicants, 58% acceptance rate. That means an Asian applicant with a top score gets in at the same rate as a black applicant with the lowest score. There's your DEI for you. They love to throw around their ridiculous stats, but the moment we bring real numbers to the table, they completely ignore them. Then, this guy goes on with the same tired fear-mongering. Oh, black people, when we're stopped by cops, we don't know if we're going to get shot and killed. Reality check. Cops kill more white people than black people. These people are completely out of touch with reality. But of course, Sunny Hostin and her panelists will keep pushing this race-based narrative because they need it to stay alive. The Democrats have locked themselves into this losing strategy, and they refuse to change course. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more breaking updates. Stay tuned for the next video.